Peterborough's community radio station, Salam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Prime, live on Salam Radio. I'm your host, Akeel Khalil, and we are kicking things off with a fantastic guest this evening. Joining me in the studio is a well-known figure here in Peterborough, an entrepreneur, a software company owner, investor in business and property, and one of the founding voices behind Salam Radio itself, Faisal Mahmood. We'll be talking about his journey, his ventures, and a brand new initiative that's been gaining traction to Peterborough Business Network. And as always, we want you involved in the conversation tonight. So you can comment on live on YouTube, text us on 07411 191 062, or call us on 01733 602 133. Faisal, welcome to Friday Night Prime.
Thank you for having me. I think you've exploded my head a bit too much. It's not going to fit through that door when I walk out.
I actually said to him off air, didn't I? I said, you have no idea the introduction I've got. The thing is, though, it's all true. So that's the thing why his head's growing. Bless him. Allah bless him. So for listeners who may not know your full story, can you give us a quick overview? Who is Faisal Mahmood and what do you do?
Okay, I'm involved in quite a few things in Peterborough. One of the key things is my involvement in Masjid Khatija. That's where my voluntary work initially started. And then in 2014, we had this idea, or one of the imams had the idea of starting a radio station during Ramadan. So we did that. And then in 2016 or 2015, we applied for a license for Salam Radio, and we got that initiated in 2016, and the rest is history from that point of view. I've done other voluntary work. I've helped out in your initiative as well, IK, you're aware, and a few others around the city. But my key thing lately has been this business network, and that's mainly stemmed from people asking me questions about business. I've been involved in property networks for the last 2 or 3 years, which are basically business networking events, but specifically for property investments. That's what I'm currently doing. But in 2003, I started a software company, Logix, and that came out of a project when I was working in my corporate job in Barclaycard. But that's a bit of a long story. I probably need about an hour to go through that. But yeah,
I'll take samosas if we ever did that. By the way,
definitely.
Okay, so I guess what we should start really at. What first sparked your interest in business and entrepreneurship? Was there a defining moment early on? You mentioned about your corporate world. Was it to start there, and what sparked the interest in this?
I think he was selling biscuits in primary school.
That's brilliant.
Honestly,
absolutely brilliant.
I just loved selling biscuits. That was my job.
Okay, what kind? Obviously, I need to ask you, what kind of biscuits?
They were bourbons, custard creams, Jaffa cakes as well.
Okay, now you've gone too far. You went Jaffa and you didn't bring me any. I'm shocked. Okay, so what? I mean, talking primary school, secondary school?
Primary school.
Oh wow! So essentially, you've had that inside your DNA since you were at primary school.
Yeah, and I think it was near the end of primary school. I used to help my dad on his market stall, and I absolutely loved showing people. It was electrical goods, and I just enjoyed showing people features of products and how it will help them. It was just vacuum cleaners and toasters and kettles, but I just loved it.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And then obviously, from that young age, you're going to go through secondary school, university, etc. Yeah. And during that time, did you do anything beyond that? Were you still in that mindset, well, I'm going to do something for myself?
No, it wasn't. I mean, during secondary school, for me, my passion's always been technologies. I remember getting my first computer when I was 5 years old, and I absolutely spent hours and hours programming games.
Wow. What was it?
It was a...
as you think, shall I help you?
I can't even remember.
I had a Commodore C64.
Yeah, no, this was before that, way before that. This is in 1984. I can't even remember what it was. Yeah.
Okay, so if you think you may know what that computer might have been,
I'll have to
please get in touch with us on 07411 191 062. You can text or call the show on 01733 602 133. We're live on YouTube. Love to have your comments. Can you guess that computer from 1984? Were you someone you may have bought it from him at that time? You never know, of course. Okay, so early on, then you've got your computer. You're selling biscuits and etc. and doing it. Did it give you a buzz that you were doing something yourself, and you were earning yourself? I guess you were forging your path yourself.
I didn't even think of it that deeply at that point. And the thing is, it's for me, it was a passion. Technology and having talking to people. That was something I really enjoyed, and it put me on edge as well. It made me nervous doing that, especially things that I didn't know the outcome for. And it kind of gave me a buzz.
Oh, I like this.
That was you could say that was kind of the spark for business ownership, and we could call it entrepreneurship or whatever. But really for me, during secondary school, I knew I wanted to work in technology, something to do with software, coding, programming. But then when I was working in a corporate environment, I realized at that point that I wanted to do something myself.
Understood. So it was the, I'm assuming, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, the guardrails of working in an organization where you have to fit a particular role. Okay. So you mentioned software. So you're involved in a software, property and other investments. How do you balance such diverse ventures, and which one excites you the most?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for me right now is helping business owners and also the business network. That's really the thing that's exciting me the most. Probably because it's a new thing. When I say new, I've been doing helping business owners for the last couple of years, but in terms of the business network, that's been running for the last 8 months. And every month I get the excitement. The night before especially, I'm thinking, yes, I'm looking forward to this. And then on the day, I'm thinking, why on earth am I doing this for? I really don't need this. But then the buzz I get after it, where people come up to me, say that this was a fantastic event, we benefited from it, looking forward to the next one. And that just keeps me going. Pretty much.
Wonderful. Every entrepreneur faces challenges. What's been one of your toughest moments in business, and what did it teach you?
I think the toughest time probably has been where you lose a client. So you have a client for so long, and then all of a sudden you lose them because you feel that emotional attachment to them, and then you think, where did I go wrong? And it helps you improve. But also, business partnerships that don't quite work out. Partnerships, with other companies that don't quite work out. So there's challenges with everything in life, just as in personal life, in business life. And your previous question, sorry, I didn't answer it fully in terms of how do I manage all those different things. So what I try to do is just focus on two things at any one time. So although I'm involved in property as well, last year, 2024, 2025 was, I gave it my full focus in terms of property and different strategies and investments and so on. Whereas now in 2026, my focus is Media Logix, which is a software company, and then the business networking event. But if you try to spread yourself too thin, it creates very difficult situations for me especially. What I find is that my day becomes fragmented. So what I tend to do nowadays is divide my day into two. One half of it is for one venture, the other one is for the other thing. And then also I make sure that there's time for family and voluntary work and so on.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
So the balance is really important.
Yeah, and less Netflix and less YouTube. Do you know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah. Okay, so you were and are one of the founders of Salam Radio. What was the vision back then, and how does it feel seeing where it is today and you're sat there?
I never thought I'd be sat here. And I remember initially when we started the radio station, I was presenting a lot of shows along with a few other people that were involved at that time. And I thought, I'm going to be really stuck in this for a long time. But very quickly, there were, for example, Ahmad Suleiman came along and a few other people came along. They got involved in it. We worked quite a bit on it. And to see it flourish from where it started in that initial venue on Cromwell Road to where it is now, this is a completely different space. And it's 100 times better than what it was before. And I'm just looking forward to seeing the next phase of it. Think about the progress that we've made in the last
Absolutely.
10 years and looking forward to the next 10.
And the fact that we've had a 5-year license extension.
Yes, yeah.
So we're 10 years in June.
Yeah.
We're 10 years in June, and then we've got another 5 years on top. So
Yeah.
what does that mean to you? I mean, you mentioned about you didn't think, where we are today, but I mean, another additional 5 years. What does that say to you that we've been given another license extension?
That means we must be doing something good. Because if we weren't doing what we should be doing, obviously there's always room for improvement with anything that you do. But the fact that the license has been renewed, we've faced challenges, we're overcoming those. And challenges I see as not setbacks, but as a step up. So you get a challenge, you feel like you're forced to do something. And when you're forced to do that thing, that takes you to the next level.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Wonderful. Like I said earlier on, you can still get involved in the show. You can ask a question or a comment for Faisal. Drop it on YouTube, text 07411 191062 or call us on 01733 602 133. We'd love to hear from you. Let's talk about your latest initiative, the Peterborough Business Network. What inspired you to launch it back in September 25, I think it was?
Yeah, no, actually, it wasn't September 25 the idea came. It was actually in December 24.
Oh, so that's when the idea, the launch, I mean, the first one was...
First event was in September 25.
2025, okay. So,
Yeah.
so you had the idea back in December 2024?
Yeah,
Wow.
the initial idea was probably going back years and years. Me and a few others, we always thought, let's start some of my friends, they were saying, let's start a professional network. But they were saying a Muslim professional network sort of thing. But it never took off. Then COVID came along and it never happened. And I was saying to them, look, why don't we have professionals and business owners? So you have a good mix of people in there. And in my mind was that rather than creating a specific one for Muslims, I thought we should have one which is completely inclusive.
Yeah.
Because there isn't any other event, a business networking event that takes place in the evenings on a weekday. Most of them, they're either very early mornings, 6 a.m., or during the work day, which isn't convenient for everyone. And what I found in places like London is you've got loads of business networking events in the evenings and property investment networking events in the evenings, whereas in Peterborough there was nothing. So I was thinking back in end of 2023, beginning of 2024, I really would love to start something in Peterborough. And in September 24, I was involved in it was a sales training workshop, and the lady running it, I said to her, look, I'd really like the way a progressive property network is run. This is Rob Moore and Mark Homer's venture. And wouldn't it be great if there was a business networking event in that similar kind of format where it's not too rigid and structured and it's in the evening, it's more relaxed, and you have a keynote speaker at every event. And she said to me, well, you got Rob's number, why don't you just message him and see what he says? So I messaged him in November, December. And he said, we've been thinking about this for years, but just not really had the chance to sit down because everyone's busy. So I had a meeting with him and another one of his colleagues in January, and I said, look, this is what I'd like to do. And a month later, they said, yeah, let's do it. They gave me an agreement, and obviously I'm using their brand, the Progressive brand. And there's a reason behind why I wanted to use their brand rather than create my own. I should have probably, you could say I could have started then back in February, but for me I had a few other things going on and everything in its own time. So I said to myself, I had an Umrah trip planned as well in August and Pakistan in April. So I thought, let me get these couple of trips out of the way and a few other work-related things that were outstanding, and then I'll start in September. So I set myself right. September it's going to start, and we started in September.
And again, that goes back to what you said earlier on about not stretching yourself.
Exactly. So the thing is, if I was to have started in February, I could have done it, but it wouldn't have been as good. I wouldn't have been able to give it my attention as much as I did in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of impact have you seen so far from the network, and any standout success stories?
So far, at the moment, there's people always complimenting how great it is. I started encouraging people to become regular members of the network. So far, we've got 21 members. And according to Progressive, they're experienced in running networking events across the UK. They say that's really good in terms of how I've managed to engage people to attend regularly. And the people who are attending as well, some of them they are established business owners, some are completely new, and they're really appreciative. I mean, even the last event, there's a couple of ladies who's thinking of starting their new property businesses, and there's another one with a beauty clinic. And they're benefiting from it, so I'm getting a lot of good feedback.
And it must be really good for you. It must give you some real, inspiration to, And I guess in many ways it's also reminding you about the importance of being focused on one thing and being able to deliver it correctly to be able to get that type of feedback.
Yeah, and also it just clicked in my head as you were saying that. So these people that are attending regularly, that they're part of the what I call VIP membership. Some of them even said to me, "Why don't you create a one-day workshop, where you can go a little bit more in depth of what it takes to start and scale a business?" And it wasn't. They private messaged me, like a few individuals, and one of them, he's from out of town. He's attended our event probably 3 or 4 months, and he said, "Look, really I need a lot more support rather than just attending once a month. Is there any chance I could spend a day with you?" And then from that I'm starting a one-day workshop for those who need it, and giving them an insight on what I think it takes to start and scale a business or a new venture, or
that sounds really, really good.
Something.
So someone listening right now who's a business owner or thinking of starting something, why should they get involved in PBN?
Someone thinking of
starting something, a business, or if they're a business owner or if they think of starting something, why should they get involved with PBN?
One of the key things I would say is who you surround yourself with, your network. I mean, they say your network is your net worth. So if you surround yourself with people, one is who've got resources in terms of financial resources or knowledge or contacts, then what you're doing is you're making it easier for you to solve problems. So let's say, for example, if I've got a problem that I need solving, I'll just post it in our group and I'll say, "Look, I'm having this issue. Has anyone else come across this? Or have you had legal advice on this? Or can you recommend a solicitor for this kind of scenario?" So what you're doing there is you're reducing the time it takes for you to solve a particular issue. And then the other benefit of it is collaboration. So what I always say to small business owners is, don't think of another person who's doing exactly the same thing as you as a competitor. Think of them as a collaborator, someone you can talk to and collaborate with, even if you're delivering the same product or service, because the market is big enough for everyone. As long as you're not trying to copy each other in terms of the brand. So let's say, for example, you're selling widgets, I'm selling widgets. There'll be some people that will like the way you present the brand. Other people will resonate with me based on, what they see, the way I speak or what I share or my values or whatever. So the key thing, what I say is that as long as you've got a core set of values, you've got a target audience that you're going to reach, you should create a space for collaboration. So that's one of the key things that I say to business owners.
Really
and
this
is the whole thing with the PBN, is to create that space of collaboration.
There you go.
Yeah.
Really, really good advice there, Faisal.
Yeah.
I've got a text that's just come in from Jamie. Excuse me. Jamie's asking, if you could give one piece of advice, Faisal, to aspiring entrepreneurs in Peterborough, what would it be?
Sorry, what? Say that again.
If you could give one piece of advice to aspiring entrepreneurs in Peterborough, what would it be?
One thing I would say is that with anything where you don't know the outcome, so aspiring entrepreneurs would have good knowledge on their product or service, but what they don't realize is, as with life, is that things don't go to plan. So you can make a plan, always make a plan, have a 3-year goals and where you'd like your business or your product or service to be in 3 years, and then work your way backwards. Where you need to be in after 2 years to achieve that 3-year goal, where you need to be after 12 months to achieve that 3-year goal, but also then divide it into quarterly tasks or goals that you need to reach. So you can measure yourself, are you working towards that? And then making sure that at least every day you're doing at least 1 or 2 tasks towards your end goal. Because what happens is we get sucked in with doing everything other than achieving our long-term goals. So we might end up replying to emails and things that come along, or we get distracted doing something else, or we end up having meetings with people which really aren't aligned with our goals. And then also making sure that there's a balance between work, business, personal life, and volunteering and helping others. Because what I truly believe is the more you help others, it all comes back to you. The more you give, the more you get. So one of the key things my mentors, I mean, these are non-Muslims, they always say to me is that always put away 10% of your profit or income or whatever away as charity. So you're thinking about others, and your vision and your long-term goals are towards helping others, because then when you face any challenges, you can easily overcome them. So my key thing would be that to set yourself a big vision, to set yourself big goals, so then you're not you don't if there's a big challenge that comes along, you're not fazed by you don't give up, basically.
Really, really good advice there. Thanks for the question there, Jamie. Faisal, on a personal level, what drives you? What keeps you pushing forward even when things get tough?
For me, I mean, I don't really share this too much. It's probably the first time I'm probably doing it on air. What I do is, like I mentioned to you just a moment ago, is that I give a certain amount of sadaqah to families in Pakistan which are in our village. And what I say to myself is that the more I'm going to earn, the more families I'm going to help. And if I don't earn, then they're going to, not be helped via me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for everyone, we believe that. But if my goal is to help more people, then I've got to make my business work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, crystal clear.
Yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question directly.
I've had goosebumps just listening to the way you described that.
Yeah.
You're right. At the end of the day, that's one of the things that drives me as well.
Yeah.
We have to be performing in order to be able to help others.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. We get lots of love for you and the text coming in at the moment, Faisal. I don't know if you've got a fan club, but I'm just putting it out there.
The thing is, ultimately, we've got to have, I normally talk about this not from a religious perspective, but we truly believe that whatever we do, success comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have to put the efforts in. Sometimes we make dua for things that, Allah grant me this, that or the other. Ultimately, we should be making dua, Allah grant us the highest abode in Jannah. Ameen. Grant us to be good Muslims, keep us on the straight path. And then we want things as well. So when we make dua for these things and then a challenge comes along our way, I said this earlier on, the challenge isn't really to put us down, it's to shape us, to make us stronger, to make us better people. And same in business. So even answering your last question, so when entrepreneurs face a challenge, the challenge shouldn't be seen as a setback. It shouldn't be a point that now I'm going to give up now, another challenge has come. When the challenge comes, in my view, that's the point that I feel like I'm getting to the next level. Now I'm taking a leap to the next level. When you're climbing the mountain,
absolutely.
Now you're at the cliffhanger here. That's the bit that's going to take you to the top. So the bigger the challenge, the bigger your goal is, the bigger the challenge is going to come. And just be ready for it.
Absolutely, yeah. There's lots of people who are going to be listening to this, watching this, especially who are business owners. We both know mutual people who are, really looking for help and ideas and support and so on. How can they get involved with the Peterborough Business Network?
The event runs monthly, and I've always done it in a way where it's inclusive. So it's not like you'll be shut out from the event if there's somebody else competing in the same space as you, because a lot of business networks, they're quite closed. Once they reach a certain capacity, they don't allow any more members, and I just wanted to do something completely opposite to that. So what I have always said is there's always going to be only a certain number of members to ensure that there's space for new people to come.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So there'll always be, let's say even if we reach, let's say we get 100 people attending the event regularly and 80 of those are members, there'll always be 20 odd new people coming. And you can attend the event for free first time. If you search on Facebook, there's a page, Progressive Business Network, or just search for me. And every now and then I'll post about the next month's event. The next event is on the 5th of May. I've got an amazing speaker coming, Imran Ahmed. He's trained with Tony Robbins. You must have heard of him. He's one of his elite trainers. He's mastered NLP, which is a way of it's a way of understanding different personality types and being able to talk to different types of people at their level in order to convince them that your product or service is the best thing for them. And it's a skill you can use in many other places as well. So he's coming, inshallah, on the 5th of May. And anyone who's interested, they're more than welcome to attend that.
Wonderful. And I know, of course, you have people can, you're looking for businesses that can sponsor the event. Can they also get in touch with you?
Yeah, so anyone who's an accountant, solicitor, anyone who's got product or service that they think small business owners will benefit from, they're welcome to sponsor the event. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Faisal, I can't believe the time has flown by. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Friday Night Prime tonight. Thanks for sharing your journey, your insights, and the fact that people can get in touch with you via Facebook or just searching for your name, Faisal Mahmood, on social media. You will find him. I've really enjoyed it. You should come more often.
I should, shouldn't I?
You really should, yeah definitely. You've been listening to Friday Night Prime on Salam Radio. If you've missed any part of that interview, catch it back on YouTube. And don't forget, you can always get involved by commenting, texting 07411 191062 or calling 01733 602 133. Stay tuned. Plenty more shows coming up for the rest of the evening. But in the meantime, take care. God bless.
Stay